What's up everyone, welcome back to another video by Eclipse on my YouTube channel. And this week I'm gonna speak a little bit about project management, or in general the management, or how do we manage our projects. So in this video the main idea is that I want to share my way, how do I manage all different projects, all different tracks. So there are the different ways, and by collaborating with some other artists and talking, sharing experiences, I found out there's a lot of producers who like to start one track and finish it, and they don't start another one until they finish the first one, which is completely fine, but my way is completely different. I like to have simultaneously several projects open, and I really enjoy in having the several different tracks that are kind of in a several different moods as well. So sometimes I'll have few tracks that are kind of similar, but I also will always try to have a different types of the track as well simultaneously. That way, every time I hit in the studio, I might find the track that suits my mood in that time. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if I yesterday was working on one track, that the next day I'm gonna be in the same mood and that I'm gonna feel that track. So the main focus, or the main idea behind this technique or this way or this approach, is that I'm gonna try to work on a tracks that I feel. So I do not want to spend time in working on some tracks that I don't feel, just kind of pushing it or giving my best to be productive and kind of forcing my creativity or my inspiration. I'm organizing myself on a different way, that I try to have different possibilities every time I hit in the studio, and that way there are much more chances that I'm gonna find my mood and that my inspiration is gonna fit in some of those projects. So the first project I have over here is completely different from my usual style, and this kick in the bass I have made during recording the scientific master course, the first class about kick in the bass, and it's a deeper kick and the square bass line, and I wanted to have something different, or I spoke in the whole course about how we can achieve a different emotion by having some different things, or how we can do things differently so we can provide a different emotion or different psychoacoustic effect on our listeners. Anyway, but it sounded really good and I was really happy with the results. So only without the loop first. And then I started adding some of the rhythmic elements, and I wanted to share with you this project particularly because it is in this stage, and this is also how I like to work on a daily basis. So I will have the project like this, and then I will hear it out, and I will most likely just add 1, 2, 3 elements, because this track has a good groove, but it's still not enough for driving me or start telling me what should I do next. So this moment, or this building the template, I want to do really carefully, and I want to drop only really good sounding elements, and I will most likely do 1 or 2 elements a day, or 1 or 2 elements a session every time I come in studio. I will open it, I will maybe change the hi-hat, add the snare, add this one, and in one moment this track will start to breathe, and it will get this spark in it, and then it will start telling me what to do next, and I will finish it much faster. But after adding those 2-3 elements, I'm most likely gonna save it, close it, and get back to some of the previous tracks that I was doing. So and also I had here the Basile, which I will most likely maybe change or see if I can add some of the sequences and move to some other track. All right, so the next file, or the next projects I want to share with you, is a track that I supposed to do or to finish with Ilan from Symbolic. And this is the reason why I want to share this particular project with you, is that sometimes collaboration just don't work. for so many different reasons. Sometimes it's just I do the half of the track, I send to someone or forget it or don't feel it, or maybe keep it for next time, and then some of the projects just get forgotten. And just by listening to this track, which I played in a previous video, I believe so, but anyway, I did several changes, I found it out, and I opened it, and I just needed to refresh it to make it a little bit better for this period of time right now when the music is changing also a little bit. So I just needed to adapt it in a little bit better way so it suits me, so that I might finish it. So the main thing about this is also that I will have once in a month, 2 or 3 months, it all depends on how much time I have spent previously in the studio, but honestly maybe even once in a 6 months, I will go through all the projects that I have in my folder where my projects are sitting. So if I open it, I have Cubase projects over here. So this is how much of them is right now in my folder, as this Win10 is just the short when I go file new, and this is the mark that this is how Cubase will call this folder, and inside there's going to be a project. So there's going to be plenty of different things inside of it, and all the unfinished projects are here. When I finish them, I'm gonna move them to finished project folder, but in general there's so many of them. So there's gonna be one day in a week I'm lying, once or twice or 4 times in a year, there's gonna be a day when I'm gonna open these projects and I'm gonna start going one by one opening. The things that I don't like, I'm gonna clear. If I like only the melody, I might delete, and I might save this and I call it good melody, and there must be some of them over here. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much of your time, but there must be some of them which are called, it doesn't matter, but like just a good melody or a good lead or anything, something like this, which I might use later on for some other tracks. I might just transpose it, maybe it's a good MIDI or whatsoever. So anyway, I just came up to this track, and in general with this track I like how it sounds, but this intro, this chord progression, it's so I will most likely replace it. Maybe I'm gonna use the same chords, maybe different organize them. I most likely have the MIDI somewhere hidden in the project, but in general it's a really nice track. And I did speak in the previous video about this lead melody, which I will definitely change because I don't like that way of working anymore. But anyway, so older project, just changed the kick and bass, because after I recorded this new class I learned also about kick and basses a lot. So the track I like a lot because it's combination of the older progressive, where I used to use a lot of these chords that are going on a sidechain reverb and a delay, and they float and they stay with a little bit less sounds in the same time. And then in this moment there's this new, more psychedelic moment with some of these FM sequences, like, and it sounds a bit more dynamic. And also I have shortened up this track as it was a little bit too long, and because the new music in general requires a little bit more of contrast as we as a listeners, and because the technology was developed, we just do not have that much patience to listen the rhythms that are going continuously and that are slowly developed. So this is just the moment that we are living right now. And the third track I want to share with you is one of the projects that you already know from several videos, and this particular track is amazing, but I had a problem finishing it as I couldn't feel the groove good as it was. So what happened, I decided to change the kick, as during recording the kick and bass class from Scientific Master Course, I made one of the best kicks I have ever made. In general, I used that kick from my kick pack, but I did several different changes on it, and now it sounds just much better. And by changing the kick, in general, in the previous sessions, I didn't want to change this kick because I wanted to use one of the kicks that I use in a track Natives, and I tried to save it, but it just didn't work for D note. I don't know why. And then I changed the kick, and then I have heard so much difference, and that I need to fix the bass line as well. So in general, from what you heard previously in this track, which was, I don't know, it was a bit long time ago when I recorded this track, and the previous videos, I think one of the webinars, it's a really good track, but I have a problem to finish it, as in this part between the end there was like a big melody, big lead, but when I started writing that melody again, I found again that I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Now I'm gonna be a little bit arrogant, if you allow me, and I honestly hope that you don't find this rude in any way, but this is my analysis or my observation, and I cannot help it not saying it this way, as I see that the whole music and the whole progressive Psytrance music is almost in the same form. So there is intro, there's a kick and bass part, there's some small development, and then really soon there's a first smaller break, and after the smaller break there's a change in a groove, or is it a glide bass line, or is it a triplet, and then there's a main break, like the longer one, when there's a huge contrast with a lot of atmospheres, blah blah blah. Then there's a big lead or big melody, and then that melody stops, it goes back to kick and bass, and then some psychedelic sequence, and this is the end. And it's super sad seeing and or hearing that all progressive Psytrance artists are doing exactly the same arrangement, and this is really bad, because I'm making the DJ sets and I'm trying to make a really good DJ set in the last 6 months, but listening all the tracks, I found out that even putting a different artist, a different tracks, I come up to almost the same patterns all over and over. It's a pretty shame that we cannot get out of it, as there's not much possibilities. I'm aware of it, but I'm really trying to do it differently. So the main reason why I said all of this was that I wanted to do this part. There was a big melody here. If you see one of my previous videos, you will see that there was like a big ARP melody here, but I wanted to change this. So I'm gonna play this track from this part. It's gonna be a bit longer, but what to do? I just can't help it not to share this track, how it sounds now. How it sounds. No, it's not sounds, it's sound. I also changed a lot of sounds, and also the mix in some of the single shots. I reduced the level of them for a significant amount. I made the track a bit shorter. So this project I wanted to share with you also, because this video is already taking too long. But this track, I did several changes. I made this track a little bit shorter, changed the kick and the bass, made the mix a bit different. Some of the sounds I transposed down. Anyway, so I wanted to share with you that every time I have several different tracks that I work on, there's a much more of them which are kind of different mood. And I believe this is a smart thing to do, because every time we hit in the studio, we might be in a different mood. It might be a different day. It might be a different weather. So every time we get in the studio, we might, or we can grab some of the tracks that's going to suit our mood that way. And that way we can use the most of our time in being the most efficient or the most productive as possible. And that way we might have more material. And also by finding the track that fits our mood at that time is gonna go much faster. We are gonna avoid having that frustration without being able to finish that track that we just said that we're gonna do for no reason at all, like that we decided that we need to work on that track particularly. So my way and my experience told me that it's much better if I organize myself, that I have different tracks with a different mood, and then I can choose on which one I'm gonna work that day and which suits me better, and that way I'm gonna be much faster and I'm gonna finish up material, and that material is gonna be much better. All right, thank you very much for watching this video, and see you soon with another video. Bye, ciao.